Hey, thank you again for joining us for our virtual open house. I hope you're enjoying all the segments that we have. Next up, we have Joe Sebastiani from Delaware Nature Society to talk about their amazing programs and also how to be a good landlord if you have a nest box for your birds in your backyard. Tri-State and Delaware Nature Society have worked together for many years. They are a great resource to the community, and we've enjoyed working with them on projects and collaborations over the years. So I hope you'll enjoy this information from Delaware Nature Society.
Hello, this is Joe Sebastiani from the Delaware Nature Society. We are glad to be a part of the Tri-State Bird Rescue Open House this year. And I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about the Delaware Nature Society and what we do, as well as a little bit about bird box monitoring and how to be a good landlord of birds in boxes. So I, again, am Joe Sebastiani, Ashland Nature Center Manager, and Delaware Nature Society fosters the understanding, appreciation, and enjoyment of the natural world through education. We preserve ecologically significant areas, and we advocate stewardship and conservation of natural resources. We were established in 1964, and we have several departments to accomplish our mission. So we have a large education department. We have an advocacy department that essentially does lobbying for the environment across the state, sometimes with the federal government, and with decision makers and policymakers in Delaware. We also have a natural resources conservation department, and they are in charge of grassroots environmental projects and programs like Stream Watch and backyard habitats. And they preserve land through conservation easements, and they manage land through active land management for ecological restoration. And that's what our land and biodiversity management program is involved in. We have four main locations. So Ashland Nature Center is the headquarters. It's been there since 1976, and it's in Hockessin. We have Abbott's Mill Nature Center in Milford, our downstate component, and they have been there since 1981. Coverdale Farm Preserve is in Greenville, and that's been in existence since 1998. And the DuPont Environmental Education Center is on the waterfront in Wilmington, and that's been there since 2009. So pay us a visit on one of our four sites. Delaware Nature Society does education programs, including seasonal programs for adults, children, and families. This is year-round. We have programs for school groups, for scout groups, community groups, as well as professional groups. And we do facility rentals at our sites as well. So our goal is to get you out in nature, have an experience, enjoy nature, and learn about it so that you can learn the skills to do something about the environment and improve it in your community. Our seasonal programs, these are great programs that happen year-round. Our members of the organization get a discount, and anybody can sign up for these. We take people out to local, regional, and national destinations, as well as doing international trips, which is my favorite part of the job. So here we are having a group out canoeing at Dragon Run Marsh, and our teen naturalists group on the right exploring reptiles and amphibians in New Jersey. And we also have a huge summer camp program. In winter, we take people out birding to some of the great places along the Delaware Bay shore. We do great programs such as looking for owls and woodcocks and maple sugaring programs and exclusive hikes through private preserves and properties. So some really great stuff in the winter. In the spring, when nature is just exploding with life, we're doing programs on amphibians, learning how to identify wildflowers, taking people out to enjoy what spring has to offer for all ages. So it's a fun time of year. Please join us on one of our programs or lectures to get out and enjoy the season. In the summer, we're taking people out on hikes that include gourmet dinners and bird watching and going out to investigate for butterflies and lots of family programs and, of course, lots of summer camps. In the fall, we have our Hawk Watch, and this is a very popular activity in which lots of volunteers and visitors show up every year to count and enjoy the raptor migration at Ashland Nature Center. And we also take people out to all sorts of different private properties, preserves, to explore nature and learn about our ecosystems locally so that we can do something about protecting them and conserving them. In the summer, we have a huge summer camp at all of our sites. This is for kids that are 3 years old to 15 years old. More than 120 different camps at all sites, as I said. The older children go in vans off-site, and they go canoeing and exploring in various places. And the youngest kids stay on-site to learn with our experienced summer camp instructors and do crafts and go exploring on our properties and preserves. We also do eco tours, as I said. In the past, we have taken people to all different parts of the country, as well as internationally. So a few of our favorite trips, especially that I've been involved in, have been the elk experience in the Pennsylvania wilds, Kip to Peak in the Virginia Barrier Islands, and Nebraska, the Platte River, and the prairies. We've also taken trips to more far-flung places like Trinidad and Costa Rica, Brazil, Ecuador, Cuba, and we also do some trips where we're doing more high energy things like cross-country skiing. We have school programs at all of our sites, including the farm, Abbott's Mill, DuPont Environmental Education Center, Ashland, and we do overnights, we do extended days. We do field studies on our sites where children are learning about the environment with our experienced leaders, and we do outreaches to schools as well, where we take our live animals and other programs out to schools. We have a lot of different lessons. If it happens outside, we probably have a lesson about it. They're age appropriate, they're inquiry based, they're hands-on. These are experiences that school children get to have with our experienced staff. And they're aligned with state and national standards so that teachers are accomplishing what they want to in the classroom by having an experience with us out in the field. As I said, we do overnights and extended days. We have a lodge at Ashland Nature Center where children can come out and spend the night and do 6 different programs with us, including a campfire, an evening program, night hike, and field studies on site during the day. This is a pretty exciting, in-depth nature study at Ashland when your children get to come spend the night. The lodge accommodates over 70 people. It's got a big kitchen and bathrooms with showers. You can do 2-day programs, 3-day programs. So it's a fun thing to do. And you have your choice of program options. As I said, we take programs out to schools. We bring the live animals and other programming to you. We do programs for other groups as well, so school groups, but we also do lots of programs for Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, recreation centers, etc. So it's similar to our school programs, but slightly different focus. And they also do overnights. Scout overnights on weekends are really popular at Ashland Nature Center. And we have meaningful outdoor experiences with these groups at all of our sites. The public is allowed to come out on their own to Abbott's Mill Nature Center, Ashland Nature Center, and the DuPont Environmental Education Center. You can just show up and take a walk, and we have different things to see and do on these properties. Our Coverdale Farm Preserve is open a few days a week, so please check our website, delnature.org, to see when they're open, and so you can come out. And typically, the preserve at Coverdale is closed except on certain days. And we have public events. So our biggest is the Harvest Moon Festival at Coverdale Farm Preserve, as well as the Farm to Fork event, where there's a dinner that is created and served, and it's a really fun time and a fundraiser for people. Earth Day on the riverfront, Monarch Fest and Osprey Fest at DuPont Environmental Education Center. So keep an eye out for our events that we do year-round at all of our sites. As I said, Delaware Nature Society is involved in natural resources conservation. So we educate people, but we also take proactive steps to preserve land, manage biodiversity, improve the ecology of our lands. And this is a pretty big job. So since 1964, we have worked with the state and others to protect 43,000 acres of open space, some of which has been turned into parks and state parks and preserves and wildlife areas. We've worked to protect and preserve over 76,000 acres of farmland as well. So we are heavily involved in advocating for the preservation of open space. We care about clean water. So we work with people to learn about clean water and watersheds and managing their lands so that it results in clean water. And we produce publications so that people can learn about that. And we have a technical monitoring program where people can learn about streams and alert us when the stream is starting to indicate that it's not very healthy. So we are sort of a stream watchdog organization in Delaware as well. We work with DNREC, the State Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control, to maintain clean streams through monitoring as a first step. We also train people and encourage people to produce habitat for wild creatures and plants in their backyards, in their yards, front yards too. We certify your yard as a habitat if it meets certain requirements of food, water, shelter, and space, and healthy ecosystems with native plants as a basis. So we train you and certify you and have people come out to help you with planning for a native landscape in your yard to produce wildlife habitat. We have a native plant sale every year that is huge, and it typically takes place at our Coverdale Farm Preserve. So you can come out and purchase native plants that we've selected for various purposes and get going on creating that backyard habitat and the front yard habitat. And we advocate for environmental causes in Delaware and nationally in some cases. So if it's something that's come up in the legislature, we are down in Dover and we are fighting for our environment and voicing the opinion of our members and trying to make change at the state level in Delaware and sometimes at the federal level. We have a community supported agriculture program at Coverdale Farm Preserve. So you buy into it and you are able to come out and pick up your share of vegetables every week and get locally grown organic produce at our Coverdale Farm Preserve. So this is a great way to stay healthy, buy local, and support a local farm. We also manage over 2,000 acres of land for biodiversity, and we repair the ecosystems that have been damaged through time and abuse on the lands we own. And we are working to have thriving biodiverse ecosystems at Ashland Nature Center, Coverdale Farm Preserve, Flint Woods Preserve, DuPont Environmental Education Center, Abbott's Mill Nature Center, and other preserves around the state that we own or outright have management responsibility for, like the Middle Run Natural Area near Newark, that's owned by the county, but we have a contract to manage the biodiversity and ecosystems there. So let's switch gears a little bit. One of the things you can do in the spring on your property is to put up nest boxes, create homes for birds, like a screech owl here in this picture, and monitor the nests so that you know what's going on inside the box and contribute your data to Cornell NestWatch program, where they run a program to collect data from across the country on nesting birds. And by doing that and using data from people from all across the land, they're able to learn about these birds and better conserve them. So this is a great thing to do. It's a fun thing to do in the spring and the summer. And don't forget to clean out those boxes after each nesting attempt. So let's talk about a few species that you can attract to your yard. tree swallows. This is a small bird, a little bigger than a sparrow, that has a blue iridescent back and a white belly, and they nest in bird boxes, especially if a box is placed out in the open away from trees. You know you've got a tree swallow when the nest is filled with feathers and it has multiple white eggs, usually 5 or 6 white eggs. So this is a native migratory species that you can provide homes for, and you can monitor these birds in their nest, collect data, and enter it into the Cornell Lab of Ornithology NestWatch program. As I said, tree swallows are very widespread, and it's a species that depends on cavities in trees like old woodpecker holes and bird boxes. So putting up a box, especially if you have a very wide open landscape, you can attract tree swallows. Everybody's favorite, it seems like, is the eastern bluebird. And this bird here was it had leg bands put on it by our ornithologist, Dr. Ian Stewart. We've done studies of bluebirds at Ashland Nature Center to see where they move and are the young birds coming back to nest nearby in successive years. So this is a male bluebird, and if you've got a property where there's scattered large trees and open grassy areas, that's perfect for a bluebird. So putting up a bird box in a situation like that for bluebirds is great. This is a female, and she's got a mouthful of nesting material. They're at this point in time, mid-April, they are building their nests and laying eggs. They nest pretty early. Here's a juvenile that we would see later in May and through the summer. It's got a little blue on the tail and wings, but it's got spots on the back. And this one has already been banded by Ian Stewart at Ashland. So we know that this one is double green, right leg. And this is a washed out picture a little bit, but this shows a bluebird nest with just grass or sometimes pine needles and bluish pale eggs. Occasionally they're white, but most of the time they're bluish. And here's a young bird in the nest that when you open the box of a bluebird, they typically don't fly away. They usually stay put and hunker down, and they're easy to count for the NestWatch program. And they live in the eastern North America and down into Mexico. Another bird that you sometimes get in your nest box is a Carolina chickadee. This is the native chickadee to Delaware, and it's a small bird that when it nests in a cavity or a bird box, it will have a moss base to the nest with fine hairs of animals on top of it, and they'll lay these little white speckled brown eggs. And this is probably one of the most comfortable looking nests in all of the bird world. Moss and fur for a spring like what we're having right now, which has been pretty chilly, rainy, and windy. I'm sure the chickadees are being kept nice and warm in their nests. They live in the southeastern part of the United States, so all throughout Delaware. Another bird that can be attracted to a backyard nest box is a house wren. And usually they nest in areas where it's very dense vegetation, like the edge of a woods or in a thicket. And if you have a situation like that, you can put up a nest box and probably get house wrens. They build their nest filled with sticks. The male fills a box up with sticks, as you can see, and then the female will come by, and if she likes the bed of sticks he's created, she'll line a little cup with needles and grasses, pine needles and grasses, and a few feathers, and maybe some bits of plastic sometimes, and she'll lay her little brown eggs. And this is a bird that's very vocal, fun to watch. They'll cruise around your garden and eat spiders and little insects and caterpillars. And they live throughout North America and even throughout South America. So this bird has a very wide range, and you can attract them to your yard. They're fun to watch, and they have a beautiful song. Some other birds that nest in nest boxes that you might get include the white-breasted nuthatch, and there's the adult in the upper left, and the chicks on the right. They sometimes nest in a bird box, as do tufted titmice, which is what the adults look like here on the lower left, and sometimes a Carolina wren. You can purchase a box that's designed specifically for Carolina wrens. They're very pretty, very musical, and they will nest several times a summer. Once in a while, you get a house sparrow. So these are introduced birds from Europe that they're kind of destructive and they damage other native bird nests so they can take over the box. A lot of people don't really like having them in a nest box, but if you constantly get these birds, you might not want to have nest boxes up on your yard. They're kind of bad news. So monitoring your nests and knowing what's in there is a good thing to do. You'll sometimes need a screwdriver if the box has a screw shut, like this one does. And then having a mirror that you can buy at the local hardware store or auto parts store that's extendable is a good way to look in a nest without having to touch the nest, because it's usually a bad idea to go touch the nest. You can attract predators to the nest that way. So I recommend putting up nest boxes on your property, creating homes for birds, and learning how to monitor them. So go to the NestWatch website at Cornell Lab of Ornithology, create an account, learn how to monitor nests safely, and get certified, which is very easy to do by answering 10 questions that they give you after reviewing some materials. And then you can become a nest watcher and report what you find in your nest boxes. And here's how it's done. You're finding a nest site and reporting the site and reporting a nesting attempt, and then going out there multiple times to look in the box throughout the course of about a month and recording what you see in the box. And when the nest is finished, you summarize it and close that nest attempt out. And that's how you report nesting in your boxes and other nests that you find in your yard to Cornell. You can also do this through their app. So I recommend if you get interested in NestWatch, download the app to your phone, go out, monitor bird nests in your yard. And it can be in a nest box or it can be in a tree or a shrub for a bird nest that you find there. So it's a fun thing to do, gets you out in nature, learning about science, contributing your data to science and conservation. So get outside, do all this stuff, be a good landlord for birds that live in your neighborhood, and come visit us at the Delaware Nature Society at one of our 4 sites. We'd love to see you out and hope you're all doing well at this time. And drop me a line if you want. It's joe@delnature.org. Ask me some questions about birds and NestWatch or other questions you have about nature, and we'll see you soon, everybody.